This is Madame Mayhem, and you're listening to the Brutally Delicious podcast. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. This is Madame Mayhem. Hey, how are you? Bruce Moore, my partner Chris.
Hi. Hey, how are you guys?
Good. We got to get someone on the line here.
Good.
I think Rena should be on.
Rena.
I'm here.
Rena, meet Madame Mayhem. How are you?
Hi.
Hi, Madam. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm all right. It's good to have you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Before we get started, I don't know if you remember me. You made a whole bunch of Halloween.
I do.
That was a while ago, right, for the show?
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I remember that.
You made some sort of drink and then those cupcakes, right? The eyeballs.
Yep. Absolutely.
Sorry. It's just I haven't talked to you in a long time. So you've been doing well?
Yeah, I mean, hanging in there.
How are you holding up through all this this nonsense that we're all dealing with?
Well, I'm in New York, so it's still spending most of my time in my apartment. Yeah, hanging in there.
Chris?
So is it any better at New York now? I have some friends there, but I haven't talked about the COVID situation with them for a little bit. Apparently, the worst is over, but you guys are still cooped up.
Yeah, exactly. So they opened outside seating for restaurants. I think they're opening indoor at some capacity. I'm not actually sure. But things are slowly opening up, but with a lot of restrictions and still, a lot of things enforced, and, everyone's still recommending that you just stay home if you can. So it's, not much has changed over here over the past few months. That's for sure.
Are you finding the lockdown makes you more creative because you have nothing else to do, or is it detrimental to your creative process?
It's actually, in the beginning, it really was. At first, I was like, oh, if everyone doesn't make a lot of amazing music out of this, I don't know when that will happen. But honestly, I was like, oh, I have all this time to write now and be creative. And because of, there is a pandemic in the world and there is all these other things, it was actually really hard to get started. There was a little bit of a slump. It was like, oh, I was kind of forcing myself to do it instead of having the creativity come to me like it usually does in the middle of, the day or when I'm doing something else. So in the beginning, it was hard because I put a lot of pressure on myself to create during this time. But then I kind of got over it and got out of my own head. And now it's been good. I've been able to create some things. So I've been happy about that.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine what the world would be like for creative people right now if there was no such thing as computers?
It would be extremely difficult to at least get it, get the word out. That's for sure. I mean, I've been trying to communicate with my fans through social media. We released 2 songs during this time, and that definitely would not have been able to happen without computers or being able to, work with my co-writers remotely. None of that would be able to happen. So, yeah, I can't imagine. I mean, it's happened before in history, but, I don't know how it would happen now.
Yeah. When it happened before in history, a lot more people died.
Right. Yeah. Right.
There was no computers. They're like, oh, my life is over. Sorry, bad joke.
Right.
How are you working remotely? What are you using? Dropbox, OneDrive, Google Drive? Are you using Pro Tools collaboration? How are you doing that? It's funny
because everyone uses something different. I've realized there is no universal thing really. So I have been. I actually hadn't used Skype, for example, in a while. And ever since COVID, I had to remember my password for my Skype account. But a lot of Dropbox, a lot of Google, a lot of Zoom, Pro Tools and Logic. I have co-writers that actually work on both different platforms.
Yeah.
So I was like, I better learn how to figure out how to use both of these.
Fun.
And so it's been interesting. I mean, I'm not that old, but I feel old when I'm trying to figure out, I'm not as tech savvy as one should be at my age. So I've been learning a lot about that. I even edited my own music video that we released, and that I had never really done that kind of undertaking before ever. And so I'm kind of like teaching myself how to use all these platforms and do things. So it's been a learning experience during this time.
I feel you, girl, though, about not knowing, and like respect, much respect on you taking on the video project. It's not easy.
Thanks. Yeah, no, it's never been. I've always been good at collecting the content and, filming us like the band on the road and this and that, and then putting it together with so much stuff. It's definitely hard, first of all, to figure out and learn how to do it and make it look good instead of a bunch of chopped up things, but also editing videos where it's a lot of my face and a lot of my voice. And like, I don't know, like listening to yourself and seeing yourself, like it gets old after a little bit. So it's like, do I really have to edit this anymore? But yeah, I mean, I think it turned out great. We're getting good reviews on it. So I'm proud of it for sure. Having
said that, I have a sidebar story that's pretty funny that relates to this.
Okay.
So I used to do audio for film, and I would mix film, and I mixed this film called A New York Love Story, and the director also acted in the film, and she got nude multiple times in the film, and I'm like editing, blah blah blah, mixing, and she's sitting right beside me, and she'd be like, "Stop it right there," and I would stop it, and there she is, like butt naked on the screen, and also sitting right beside me. And I'm
right.
I'm like,
right.
It wasn't awkward, but the first few times I was like, how do I?
It's definitely something to get used to.
What do I do here right now?
Right. Oh my gosh. I'm sure that was an experience.
Yeah, it was different, but
it was different. Yes.
Anyways, so there's that. Okay, let's get back to the band.
So my question is, how did you choose Living on the Edge for a cover, and how is it doing since it dropped on the 4th?
Okay, so this is a good story. So back when I first started in the rock scene, I was playing a lot in New York. I had a residency at the Cutting Room, and we played a bunch of shows in LA. And when we were putting our sets together, because of course I'm a new artist, we wanted to throw a cover in there to kind of get the crowd going instead of just playing a bunch of original music that no one had ever heard before as I was working on my first album. So I was working with Mark Hudson, who actually was one of the writers of Living on the Edge, the original. So working with him, and he was like, this would be such a fun song for you to cover. So we tried it, and like the crowd loved it the first few times. So we're like, okay, let's do this all the time. So like the first year or two of my career, I was playing it live and kind of put my own spin on it and made it cool, made it a little different, but still staying true to the song. And we decided after we recorded the record to record that song. So this is actually from the vault. So we recorded this years ago, and I never released it. We decided not to have a cover on White Noise, the album. We just wanted it all to be original, so we didn't add it onto it. And I was like, oh, we'll release this in a little bit, a few months, a year. And for some reason, just never released it. And I was sitting here in quarantine, and I was thinking I had just released an original song a few months prior, called Breaking Down, and I was like, okay, what do I do for my fans now? I have people that are reacting really well to this song, and I'm now sitting here in my apartment, and I don't have more things to follow up with at this exact moment, and I really want to give my fans something to listen to. So I was thinking about it, and I was like, I never released the song Living on the Edge, which I think is so relevant right now in this time. Everything going on in the world. And so I told my management, and I had brought it up a few times before, and we wanted to really release an original song first, since we were trying to release original music before COVID started, like right at the top. That was the goal. So after releasing the one single, Breaking Down, towards the beginning of COVID, we wanted to do something else. And I brought it to their attention again and was like, hey, remember I told you I did that song Living on the Edge years ago? Like I really feel it's relevant. I really think it's important to release it. If I don't release it now, there's no other time that makes sense. And so they agreed and we released it. And I think we're getting really good, really good feedback, which is great. You always get the occasional troll that's like, it's not a dude singing it, so it's wrong. And you're like, okay, cool, thanks.
Right.
So if that's the only critique I'm getting, then I'm okay with it. That's someone who wasn't going to like it anyway.
Right.
But, hey, but you know what? They listened to it. So that's okay. And but overall, the response has been really great. And a lot of people have been liking the video that I did myself. So I'm really happy about that. And that came with it. And overall, it's been really cool. And it's been good.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Chris, Rena?
It's been a cool ride.
I don't have anything else. I mean, I just like listening right now. I'm learning a ton. And you're talking about doing Living on the Edge, and it makes me think, because COVID makes us all feel kind of like, well, maybe not all of us, but it kind of brings you more internal because you're not so... You can't go out and be external, if that makes any sense. So, and when you're talking about living on the edge, I think, oh man, that's why I left like a small town and moved to Vancouver, was because of the recordings that were made there, and the original recording of this song was made in Vancouver. So it made me think of that. So thank you.
Awesome. Yeah.
I do have one more for you, and you seem to be living in New York, which was sort of like the epicenter for a while. How do you see the music business? And nobody has a crystal ball, but how do you see it coming out on the other side of this? Because there's lots of weird collaborations and lots of new technology being developed. I think it might come out pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I know in terms of live music, we are all suffering a lot, and I know that fans are too, because everyone, even for me as a music fan, getting my fix of music live it's always my favorite way. It's my favorite way to deliver music, and it's my favorite way to receive music. But I think in terms of technology and the way things are working now and the collaborations that are coming out of this, I think, and I hope that we will all be better off on the other side. And I just really hope that we can sustain long enough this way to be able to succeed afterwards. I know, again, with the music industry, there's so many people in so many jobs, not just the artists, that are extremely terribly affected by the fact that we cannot go out and tour right now. And so I just hope that us as artists and our fans can help support our crews and our, and the rest of our industry that really can't do things remotely, in this time, so that when we do come back, I know all the music fans, everyone who loves live music will be back, like definitely more than ever before. So I do have a positive outlook on what's coming on the other side. And in terms of creating music, I think it's going to be pretty awesome. I think it takes time to figure out what's going to happen. New things that are going to go on, and new technologies, and all of us figuring it out, and figuring out the best ways to collaborate and make it the best experience it can be. But I think we can manage it. I think we all love this enough that we can figure it out.
Have you started booking tours for next year?
I personally have not. I'm a little nervous too, because I've seen people book things and then cancel things and book things and I mean, I can't handle that with my anxiety, I'll tell you that. Yeah. But I know that people are starting to do that already. And so we are in talks with a few things, but nothing is set in stone. So as soon as we're able to kind of get something set in stone, I'll be able to announce those on my website.
Yeah, I just asked because yesterday I saw Deftones and Gojira announce their tour.
Amazing.
Yeah, they announced their tour basically the same dates that it was before, but just next year. But
right.
I'm wondering, are they going to be able to fulfill those dates? I mean, no one really knows, and it's kind of a strange time because the venues, they definitely need the shows.
100%.
Because they're not getting help from anyone.
Yeah, I mean, if for bands like that, I think if they are able to do that where they had a tour already in place and they were just pushing it back. I think, why not until you know what else is going on, and just everyone just needs to know that it's all tentative. As much as we don't want it to be, because no one knows what's going to happen, unfortunately. Right. Listen, all I want to do is go play live. That's been my favorite thing ever. As much as I love creating music and writing music and performing, like performing is my life. Like that is my favorite thing. And that's also how the band survives. And that's how we get more fans, is by the road. So like, don't get me wrong. All I want to do is get out there and tour, but we have to see what happens in the world first. But I don't think it's a bad thing that people are booking things in advance. I think it's fine as long as there are these contingencies in place, and whoever buys tickets, if there's a way to, give them that money back if it doesn't work out, and, for the bands. And I don't think it's a bad thing to book in advance, as long as you know that it might not work out, but hope that it will, Don't
you think we might be sort of like getting the better end of the rope here, not being like these huge, massive bands that book stadiums? Because obviously the stadium gigs, they seem very unlikely for next year as well. But
right.
Like doing these gigs safely in like a small or mid-sized venue can actually be done. I'll be playing live next Friday.
Ooh.
Yeah. And we have not a lot of gigs. I mean, we just like released an album, and this is completely obviously the worst time ever to do that. And there's just like a handful of gigs that we can play, and none of them are going to be abroad and so on. But still, we have a few, and they are in those like mid-sized venues where you can actually have like some distancing and have like an amount of people that can somehow be controlled.
Right.
Or, like they can still take instructions and maybe even obey them and so on. So maybe those are the kinds of gigs that are more likely to happen than the ones.
Right. And if they do, then that would definitely help those independent venues that are, struggling right now because they can't, so I mean, hey, let me know how that goes. I would love to know, because that sounds awesome.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I'm super happy. It's actually on my birthday even.
Ooh, happy
nice
birthday.
Doesn't it really get better than that? Yeah.
Right, that's fantastic.
An old tour manager friend of mine once told me, when you're touring, your main job is to sell liquor and T-shirts. And
that's awesome.
And I'm thinking, that's going to be even more important as touring starts to get back up, because bands need money. Like, think about all the crew that's just been struggling, like it's just unbelievable. It's very true. All of the fan support, I mean, is much appreciated, always on the road, but now more than ever. If you have that $20 for a T-shirt and you could spare it and it's one of your favorite bands, it helps. Every little bit helps. Sure does.
All right. Anyway, Rena, anything else?
No, I'm good. It was such a lovely chat. It's always nice to hear from other female vocalists in this very male-dominant industry. Yes. Yes. There are more of us. There are definitely more of us coming out of the woodwork, so I'm very happy about that. Yeah, yes, it is. And I think we should, support our sisters more. 100%. 100%. Yeah.
I can get behind that.
Yes. Yeah. I got my fingers crossed that all your gigs happen and you get to book a tour. Yeah.
Awesome. I thank you very much for taking the time.
Thank you.
Stay safe and good luck.
All right. Thanks. Have a good one, everyone.
We'll see you. Be well.
Bye.
Bye. Later. Bye.
Hello out there. Yes, hello out there, everyone. I'm Hal Schwartz.
And I'm Flynn McLean. Together we host None But the Brave, a podcast dedicated to the music and career of Bruce Springsteen.
Bruce and E Street Band are on tour right now for the first time in 6 years, and we're taking a detailed look at what's happening on stage in our bi-weekly episodes.
We've also been recently joined by some very exciting guests, including rock journalist Warren Zanes and Stephen Hayden, Backstreet's Magazine founder Charles Cross, and Barstool's Kirk Minahan.
If you're a diehard Springsteen fan, this is the show for you.
So please subscribe to None But the Brave on your favorite podcasting platform, and we hope to see you further on up the road.
Thank you so much. We'll be seeing you.